Hello storytellers, welcome back to Cinematic Lips. In our last video we uncovered the secrets of Act 1, the foundation of your screenplay. If you missed it, be sure to check it out. Today, we're diving into Act 2, the heart of your screenplay. We'll break down the midpoint, pinch points, and plot twists, where the real magic happens. Act 2 is the longest and most complex part of your screenplay. So, grab your notebook and let's get started. Act 2 is a unit of dramatic action that's approximately 60 pages long. It begins at the end of plot point 1 and continues until the end of plot point 2. It's held together with a dramatic context known as confrontation. It's very easy to work in units of 30 pages, but very difficult to work in a 60-page unit of dramatic action. The solution is creating a midpoint, an incident or event, and it serves a very specific function. First, it breaks Act 2 into two basic units of dramatic action: the first half of Act 2 and the second half of Act 2. In The Shawshank Redemption, Andy meets Red at plot point 1. They begin their relationship, and Andy gets settled into his routine in prison.
Thank you, Mr.
Red.
Why do they call you that?
Maybe it's because I'm Irish. I think it would be fair to say I liked Andy from the start.
This is the start of a friendship that will define the entire film. But as he begins to gain the warden's respect and trust, he's assigned to the library, and there he writes the legislature for additional funds to help fund the library. For 6 years, he writes 1 letter a week, sometimes twice a week, in order to raise the funds for the library. Finally, a check and cartoons of books arrive, and when they arrive, Andy Dufresne locks himself into the warden's office and plays an aria from a Mozart opera. He refuses to open the door, and he plays that aria over the loudspeakers, thus incurring the wrath of the warden. And for that little stunt, he's sent to the hole for a week, and when he comes out, he says it's the easiest time he's ever done.
They broke the door down before I could take requests.
Was it worth it? 2 weeks in the hole?
Easiest time I ever did.
Haven't you ever felt that way about music?
What are you talking about?
Hope.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
That incident, playing the aria, is the midpoint, because it links the action of the first half of Act 2 with the second half of Act 2. It is a link in the chain of dramatic action. The midpoint is the game changer of your screenplay. This is the turning point where Act 2 goes from good to great. In The Shawshank Redemption, the midpoint is when Andy locks himself in the warden's office and plays a Mozart aria over the loudspeakers. It's bold, it's rebellious, and it's unforgettable. This scene does two things. It links the two halves of Act 2, showing Andy's shift from survival mode to reclaiming his dignity. It delivers an emotional payoff that hooks the audience deeper into the story. Now it's that incident that spins the story around in another direction, the second half of Act 2. The midpoint's an important structural ingredient to the second act of your screenplay. Now, those three elements, plot point 1, midpoint, and plot point 2, are the structural elements that hold the entire screenplay together. However, when you're writing Act 2, you need a little more help than that. Now, in order to build this first and second half of Act 2, we need one major sequence that holds the material together. This major sequence is what is called pinch 1 and pinch 2. Now, the definition of a pinch is simple. It's a sequence that keeps the action moving forward to the midpoint, or plot point 2. Now, in The Shawshank Redemption, pinch 1 is when the warden launches a search of Andy's cell and finds him clean. It's his way of determining whether Andy can be trusted to work in the library and guide the prison guards on their tax returns. And later in the second half of Act 2, Tommy comes to Shawshank. Then, Andy takes the young man under his wing and learns that he was a cellmate with a prisoner who was actually responsible for killing his wife and her lover. It's a story point that was set up at the beginning and then buried under the action, and now it comes to surface again.
You know that wouldn't matter with Tommy's testimony, I can get a new trial.
Well, that's assuming Blatch is even still there. Chances are excellent he'd be released by now.
Obtuse. Is it deliberate?
Son, you're forgetting yourself.
Art, what's the matter with you?
Get him out of here.
Come on, it's my chance to get out. Don't you see that? It's my life. Don't you understand? It's my life.
Get him out. Get him
It's
out!
my life.
Tommy is killed, and Andy knows he served enough time. It's his redemption, and that's when he escapes. And that incident is plot point 2.
Man missing on Tier 2, cell 245. You better be sick or dead in there, I shit you not. You hear me?
This is where Andy's perspective shifts. He realizes that escaping Shawshank isn't just about his freedom, it's about exposing the corruption at its core.
Until that moment, he didn't exist. Except on paper.
May I help you?
I hope you'll enjoy living abroad.
Thank you. I'm sure I will.
Here's your cashier's check, sir. Will there be anything else?
Please, could you add this to your outgoing mail?
So, what's the secret to writing a killer Act 2? It's all about escalation. From pinch points to the midpoint and plot point 2, every moment needs to build tension, deepen the stakes, and push your story forward. In The Shawshank Redemption, we've seen Andy go from a quiet prisoner to a man with a plan. But Act 2 magic isn't limited to prison walls, it's everywhere in storytelling. Let's take a quick look at another masterpiece, The Matrix. In The Matrix, pinch point 1 is a pivotal moment.
This is the construct. It's our loading program.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real?
Midpoint arrives when Neo makes the bold decision to rescue Morpheus from the agents. Neo goes from hesitant to determined. This moment isn't just physical, it's psychological. He begins to believe in his potential as the One.
That's interesting, but then you say...
But what?
But you already know what I'm going to tell you.
I'm not the one.
Sorry, kid. You got the gift.
The second pinch comes when Neo and Trinity infiltrate the skyscraper to save Morpheus. The audience sees Neo in action, showcasing his growing confidence and abilities.
You're gonna kill him. Kill Morpheus.
We don't have any other choice.
What are you doing?
I'm going in.
No, you're not.
I have to. Morpheus believed something, and he was ready to give his life for what he believed. I understand that now. That's why I have to go.
Plot point 2 happens when Neo accepts his role as the One. In The Shawshank Redemption, we've seen Andy go from a quiet prisoner to a man with a plan. Now all roads lead to Act 3, the payoff we've been waiting for. In our next video, we'll uncover how to craft an Act 3 that ties every loose end together and delivers a jaw-dropping finale. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Here at Cinematic Lips, we're all about unlocking the secrets of great storytelling. So, what are you waiting for? Let's keep creating magic.